Hello, dear brother. How are you? Welcome to the Rose
And
Garden.
what's the good word with you?
All is good now that I'm in the Rose Garden with you.
Yeah, I feel you.
Who's bothering you? It's our Rose Garden time. Don't they know it's 2 o'clock? Shame
Yeah,
on them.
yeah, it's the crazy people in the world that's keeps troubling me. But
Oh yeah, and there's a plenty of them, aren't they? I don't know if you know this, but you are not looking at me. You are looking like the up there. Now you're looking at me.
mhm, yes, it's the bird. What's going on?
Um. Oh my gosh, I couldn't wait to see you today, actually, because I've been talking to you all week about the shenanigans all my
Mhm.
life. I think I've been getting extra stressed. Oh boy, they're gonna call you on two different. You must be a VIP.
Maybe
Well,
not. Maybe it's the exploitation people be
it
trying.
could be. It really could be. I don't know. I don't know. But for those who don't know us, I guess we should introduce ourselves before we get into the heaviness of the week.
All
I'm Sarita. I am this lovely young man who really wants to be a young man all the time, Xadian's younger sister. And we come into the Rose Garden each week. This is like my own personal therapy. We hope it's a safe space for you to discuss all things that are on our mind current. And I got a lot of stuff on my mind. It's been a week politically, socially, a week personally. Some good things that happened this week is that both of my kids got news about things that they have been waiting for, and they're really really excited about it. And it's interesting because children don't like to wait, and I'm
Mhm.
not even going to say children, people don't like to wait, but delayed gratification is such a hard thing to sit with. And they actually experienced like delaying their gratification and having to kind of let a process sit through, um, before they achieved what they wanted to achieve. And um, your niece almost did backflips when she got the notification of what she was waiting for. And then we didn't get a chance to talk through her feelings, because by then it was like, I don't want to talk about it, it's over with, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, she didn't want to share it.
She didn't want to talk about it, but
Crazy. I thought she might want to. She might want to go into it. That's
you
interesting.
know she did not. She just was like, you know what, I'm happy, 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 joy, joy, f those people that was holding it up, and let's move on, kind of thing, which I like, because in her moment, like that little punctuation was like, look, this was stupid, it was a stupid reason to be held up. And
Mhm.
then your nephew was kind of a very similar thing. He's graduating from his training academy this week for his new role.
Mhm.
And oh my goodness, the building they were in had asbestos and this and that. So, so they had all these changes that he had to deal with. And he was just like, yo, just slide me my certificate so I can go on about my business. And of course, his goal was, he said, they could just print them certificates out. We don't need no ceremony and nothing. Don't nobody care about that. And then he said, I could be home by 11 doing playing my game. So
Yeah,
um,
that's you go. He right on that. Right on that. He right.
but he didn't get to do that. So he has to actually wait till 3 o'clock. And so I'm watching them as they develop and demonstrate their exercise and waiting to achieve things, but also being patient, and
Mhm.
being able to be flexible as adults, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
things that are as young adults, things that aren't always easy.
Right,
So,
right.
what are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm trying to clear this stuff off of the screen. I don't
Oh,
know what's happening. It's stuck.
stop.
Yeah, what's up?
Well, we get to see the side of your goatee, and while it's nicely coiffed, don't nobody want to see that.
What do you think people want to see?
Uh, oh, listen, the group chat. Listen, the group chat is ready for the bald headed brother. That is your new nickname,
Wow,
the bald headed brother. Let's see what
I
the
guess
bald
people
headed brother
here.
got to say today.
Yeah, I was gonna give a shout out, a birthday shout out to Megs though. It's
It's
uh
her birthday.
it's her actual birthday today, I believe.
Oh wow! Happy birthday, Megs. Isn't it? Isn't Caroline's birthday in October too?
Yeah, at some point I think no, I don't know what day, but the Quali's birthday is on around this time too. So
Yeah. Did y'all
Quali,
have the celebration yet?
um, now Quali celebration is Sunday. So big up to you, Quali, and
How old is Quali gonna be?
he gonna be 15 like Amir.
Oh my God! All these kids are old men.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Dave too, his dad and his mom, Sanaya.
Oh, how cool. I haven't seen Kweli in a long time. Does he look like a man?
Yeah, I mean, he growing up. He definitely growing up.
It's
He
funny because,
a little bit different than what he was when he was a little boy, but he ain't quite they ain't quite made it to their man stature yet. You know what I mean?
yes, but their voices sound like men. It's funny. I was talking to a colleague, and uh, I think certain people address the role of godparents very differently.
Hmm.
And so people may not know this, but you really take the role very, very seriously. And I think my children's godparents take their role very, very seriously, because
No.
that means, at least in our understanding, that somebody is going to, if something happens to you while our children are, while we're not around anymore, that they're going to assume some kind of parenting role.
Hmm.
And I know that you do that for Kwali for sure, because his dad unfortunately passed away. But I also know that for my godchildren, because I mean, my godchildren, my children's godparents, because they are like diehard, like they ride for they godchildren. And it's beautiful to actually get to witness, because a lot of their relationship is built behind, without their dad not being involved. But I
Hmm.
was talking about this with some friends, and they don't, and culturally they're different. They don't have this idea of godparents. And I will say, we weren't necessarily raised with a godparent necessarily, but I think the way we are applying it, perhaps because of our own developmental background, means something to us. So I think it's really important to see the shifts. Like for me, when we were picking godparents, it was important to pick people that were going to display the values that we had and care about our children in our place. And I
Hmm.
think we did a good job of that. Actually, and I can't actually say that we picked our great kids' godparents. They picked their own godparents,
Hmm. Hmm.
because we were actually very late to baptizing them. I think Jalen was 14 and Sinai would have been 10. So they, when they were baptized, they actually had a lot of say in what they did, which gave a different tenor to the people we selected in their lives. They had already built relationships with them and things like that.
Hmm.
So, and I know, I forget, how did you get selected as Quali's godparents?
I don't know. I guess I got to talk to Sanaya about that and see. I know that Dave had personally reached out to me before he had passed, and he said, out of every everybody he knew, he thought I was the most put together, and he
Would
want.
you say you were too at that time?
I don't know. I don't know everybody he knew, so I can't speak for him on that. But I
Well,
guess
how do you feel about it? I mean, you know yourself at that.
I thought it's a huge responsibility. It's a big. I took like you said. I think it's a big obligation and big responsibility. But I take it as somebody trying to impart a wish on you. Uh,
Hmm.
on their deathbed,
Hmm.
and they saying, "Hey, can you look out for my son when I'm gone?" You know,
Hmm.
that's anybody could say yeah to that, but I just feel like if I put my word on something, I'm gonna live up to it. So
Right, but I am really wondering, um, like what you thought, because I actually have not been had the honor of ever being asked to be a godmother, which is interesting.
yeah,
Um,
I just thought it was it's a huge. I guess it's like anything else. It depends on how serious a person takes that responsibility. Some people can they can become a parent of a child, a parent of an animal, whatever, dog, pet, whatever.
mhm,
Don't really take that thing serious. You know what I mean? They just
mhm,
let it do what it do, whatnot. But I mean, if you really embrace that responsibility and all that stuff, I think that yeah, it's you gotta make a commitment to doing certain things.
mhm,
So
mhm.
yeah, it's definitely major.
It is. And I like that's your approach, because it seems like the way you do life is very serious, even though you you have your own kind of casual approach to things. I think right now what's going on in the world for me is many people aren't taking life as serious as it needs to be. I'm situated in experiences right now where I'm almost shocked to say that I'm human, you
Mhm.
know, let alone like a black person, but I'm shocked to say that I'm human because some of the experiences that we are going through just don't feel like what I believe is right. Um,
Well, I mean, I guess that then that means that the definition of being human needs to be reexamined. Because to me, you know how it's funny because sometimes when we're being developed and
mhm,
we're being taught like about this reality that we all share, it's being delivered to us in a very dressed up way. I guess
mm,
you'd say it's very. It's not. It's delivered. It's kind of true, but it's not delivered in a way that sounds abrasive or harsh or whatever. It sounds very, rosy and cool. Like I was looking at my son's like social studies thing, right?
mhm,
And it was just talking about like various things that happened to people that were bad things. Like say when these colonizers came to what's now known as the United States, and the indigenous people were here, and they were just talking about how the indigenous people and those people got along,
mhm,
right? And how those people took care of the newcomers.
mhm,
How somewhere down the line, so it was just really dressed up in a way that it wasn't as gory and sinister and messed up as the reality is. Like these people got pushed off their land for their kindness. They got killed and there was battles and like all this stuff that really happened. They got tricked into, accepting gifts that was full of disease, and they got, just systematically ethnic cleansed and genocide, and then moved to these lands, and all their sacred ground got destroyed. So they didn't say it like that. Even with, um, like melanated people that they brought to this country out beyond their will. They were like, the way that they described it was like, these people are so-called slaves and they worked for very little wage or whatever. It was like so dressed down from what the reality is, right? So
but
I
that
think
that that's what I think is very much human
that
because,
what that is human, yeah. But the
it's like that we
humanity,
can say something terrible, right? You
Mhm.
can describe something so terrible, right? But because of our social conditioning, we can pretend that, you don't attach a feeling to that. Because I think witnessing, I was watching the Animal Kingdom about the chimps, right? And this is,
Yeah,
and there's always like a alpha chimp in
yeah,
these little chimp
smart.
groups, right? But they're smart. They do so. The alpha chimp is always being threatened by other groups of chimps that want to take over, and there's always an alpha. Well, on this one chimp story I saw, the alpha chimp got, kind of beat up by this rogue troop,
Right,
but
right.
his chimp group that didn't come into, they understand the cycle of life. They didn't necessarily stop the beating, um but they grieved his loss because he basically he warded off the threat, so that but he was so badly injured in the beating that he went off to die alone, because that's what they do. They don't necessarily die in front of their group, but he warded off, he protected his group and all that, right? And so, but the group, when the beating was occurring, was making all the ape noises that and chimp noises that you hear like from Planet of the Apes, and which was really to kind of say, look, this is happening, and and then they spent time, a long time, grieving before, in the order, a new alpha was created. And I think that that's what's missing in humanity, is that, like, where's the chimp noises when you see somebody, like, we just killed people indiscriminately in the Pacific Ocean and all these Atlantic, and then we label it as something that we psychologically can say is bad, drug dealers. But let's just say if we took that label away and said Xadian and Sarita were killed in a raid, that was in a boat, would you feel the same way? And so we're kind of like conditioned as humans to say, well, if they're that kind of human, that's okay to be bad too. When really we all should be operating really with some decency to each other. And there's like some rules, karmatic rules, and energetic rules that we should follow. Um, not to want to kill each other in this murderous way, or not to want to be so harmful to each other in some harmful way. That's why I say it's really, really hard to be human. I watch my birds outside. I love my birds. They playfully attack each other when they are going after a piece of a worm or something that they both want. But I have never seen one fight one to the death, or be so um, selfless that they don't experience a loss of their group. And these are birds that, even grandma used to say you have a bird brain, which seemingly means that it's a small, underdeveloped mind. We are supposed to have these big developed minds, and we can't see harm and react to harm in a meaningful way. And I think that's what happens. But there's a real psychological reason for that. I think our brains don't make room for harm. So we are always trying to default to good so we can deal with it. Because otherwise, we would all walk around here in almost a suicidal trance. If we really thought about all the negative things that we give ourselves excuses to doing, like taking somebody's pencil or taking their money or stealing we give ourselves excuses to be bad. And then we might even justify it. Well, I took that person's pencil because they looked at me funny.
Well, like you said though, if people do that, then they're supposed to be connecting that to the humanity and the others, right? Like
Mhm.
you're supposed to be able to personally understand what it's like, or what compulsion
Mhm.
leads you to doing those types of things, right? Because you felt it. Like say if you hungry and you got a family and your family need to eat, and
Mhm.
you know you don't want to just sit by and watch them starve, but you don't got no means to feed them. You might steal, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So then at the end of the day, then somebody else, who is human, should understand. Like, yeah, I understand why that sort of set of circumstances might have led you to do that.
Mhm.
And then you like, I guess what that does is supposed to give you think you have empathy for the others, and then some sort of sense of understanding. But those things don't seem to happen between people. Like you said, and I guess I don't know why humanity is like that with each other. Like it's really disappointing and disturbing as a whole.
Mhm. Mhm.
But you just be hoping that that like the higher aspects of human beings will prevail. But
Well,
I guess it's a real struggle between
it's a real, yeah, it's a
between-
struggle. And I'm not hoping no more. Like
yeah.
I have lost hope. These people know, I mean, we are doing some terrible things. Like
Mhm,
it just almost defies logic to
mhm,
me. We can't, it's no more. I want to no more make excuses for this. I want to call it a thing, a thing.
mhm.
And I just read a terrible story. Have you heard the um, Kyron
Oh, no,
Lacey?
no, I haven't heard that. Who is Kyron Lacey? Who's that?
So this was a story of a young LSU football player, and he was set to actually enter the NFL draft and be a really highly regarded um, um, athlete.
Hmm.
And I guess weeks before the draft, he
Hmm.
was involved in a car crash
Hmm.
in Louisiana. And it was found out that he was blamed for somebody in the crash died. So he was blamed for being the cause of the fatal crash.
Hmm.
And in the weeks leading up to it, they arrested him, and they pretty much publicly slandered him, and didn't listen to anything that he had to say. I don't even know that it was mentioned much about what he had to say. So he ended up dying by suicide on April the 12th.
Word.
Yeah, and he had like a self-inflicted gun wound inside his car, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And people interpreted that initially as his way of escaping responsibility and accountability for what he did. Well, his family continued the investigation, and what was discovered recently
Mhm.
was that he was nowhere near. He arrived um, several seconds after the crash, so he could not have been the reason for the crash. It also was discovered that one of the officers, the arresting officers, convinced a bystander to say that it was Kyron.
Wow, that's
So
crazy.
someone in authority, wanted to harm this young boy who he didn't know outside. He didn't know outside of the fact that he was an LSU, football player. So now this has come out.
These
This
people in authority, though, that I think like they always are major violators themselves.
What do
You
you
know,
mean?
because they human still too. You know how like we were just talking about, elementary uh, concept of hearing things like we all sinners, for example,
Hmm.
which means we all got condemnable traits, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Word out, condemnable traits. That, I say that to say that but people don't really try to acknowledge those. They want to acknowledge the fact that the good sides in everybody. But I feel like the people in law enforcement, man, they like major violators of the law, and they are they human too. So they
Yeah.
just like anybody else is susceptible to all those things. But carry on. What else was you going to say about
Well, I before I do that, I think it's interesting that you say people in law enforcement because there is a profile of people that are really attracted to law enforcement. I have a good colleague, that's what she does. She actually only works with people who are in law enforcement. It's like a special area, psychology.
it?
And yeah, one of the things that she talks about are the high divorce rates,
Yeah.
high rates of thought deviancy, which is like
Yes. Yes.
cognitive kind of dissonance,
Mhm.
and then a lot of their own addiction problems, which in
Mhm.
their self, in and of itself, is like this compulsive kind of behavior that's dysregulatory. And
Right.
so, which is interesting because they are being asked and tasked to regulate people.
Exactly.
But they themselves have these chronic issues with regulation. And so she and I are always talking about profiles of men, right? That she would date. And you know what she says, as a disqualifying, um, uh, feature, it is if somebody comes up to me and says that they are in law enforcement, she says, packs up her stuff and says, it's actually not very nice to meet you. Goodbye.
I'm in I'm in concurrence with her thought process on that. I mean, I don't have a very warm relationship with law enforcement at all.
Well, what about a female police officer? Would you date a female police officer?
I mean, I would, I guess I would take each individual as an individual. So I can never say never because you never know like what will happen, right? But in general, I definitely I don't embrace law enforcement like that
Hmm.
because of certain little things. Like for instance, right? If somebody, did you know that somebody they could make up a story about you? Like right now, me and my brother Wes was in this situation where we intervened in a girl being attacked, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
In this really bad area, and when we intervened in it, we had no idea what would happen next, right? Which was this man who was attacking this girl, whatever.
Was it a domestic like violence? Did you?
Yeah, it ended up being a domestic, but what do you call it, intimate partner violence situation. But we ain't know that, what I'm saying? Because I came up on the scene first, and the girl was there by walking by herself, and then a car pulls up, and the dude jumps out and grabs on her and stuff, and
Oh,
then
so
she
you just see
started
this
breaking down.
damsel in distress.
Yeah, it looked like somebody about to get abducted or something really bad about to happen to him and stuff. So, I felt compelled to, to do what I could do, and
Which was what?
to intervene. You know what I mean?
What's
Now
that
it's
look
funny
like?
because this caused me great harm after I intervened in it because ultimately, what ended up happening is the dude went and told the police that me and that I abducted the girl, uh, that I abducted and kidnapped his girlfriend.
Oh my.
And also a Hollywood story of being held up at gunpoint where a pistol got put in his mouth and he
Oh,
got robbed at $200 in a pack of cigarettes.
oh wow.
So the,
And
so
you're a
the,
non-smoker.
right, I never smoked in my entire life. So
Right.
now here it is. I ain't have $200 on me. I ain't have a pack of cigarettes on me. I ain't have a pistol on me. I
Mm-hmm.
had no girl in the car. But the police do a felony stop with it. They basically roadblock the road up ahead, have
Wow.
police come up behind me, have guns all drawn on me at like 360 degrees. Driver, put with one hand, turn on the car, throw the keys off the window, all this stuff. And I'm
Wow.
thinking to myself, like, what the hell is going on? You know what I
Right.
mean? And come to find out, this dude has said all this stuff, right?
How did you find that out?
Because
After?
when we get down to the police station, they tell us what we charged with. And I'm
Wow.
like, well, y'all got the wrong people because like this happened tonight. What y'all talking about? They talking about
Where's the girl? What did I do with the girl?
robbery, kidnap. I'm like, kidnap who? What are y'all talking about? Right?
I don't have no clothes in my closet.
But this is my thing. It's crazy because the dude, like when you looked at the comparison of us, like just this visual inspection. I was coming from work, so I was dressed pretty, professionally.
Right.
That dude was like, not for nothing, not for nothing. I'm not saying this as a description of putting anybody down, but he was shabbily dressed dude and just looked rugged, raggedy and rugged, right?
Right. Right.
Dusty, all this stuff looked like a bag of barn burger dude, whatever. So why would a dude who looking professional want to rob a dude like that? That would be just like me going up to a homeless person on the street and Debo in their pockets. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If
Right. Right.
I'm trying to rob somebody, why wouldn't it be somebody that I think got something,
Right.
right? Yeah. So I felt upset because the police didn't do to me didn't do their job. They
Right.
just took the word of somebody. So that's a frightful thought
Yeah.
because that means that anybody at any given time can, like right now, I could just walk and see somebody and I don't like that dude.
Mm-hmm.
Just call the police and say he robbed me at
Right.
government and all that, and they would literally without doing any kind of investigation just lock that dude up
Yeah.
and all that. So to me, that causes the person who got accused of something great harm.
Yeah.
But that's counter of the rule of law, which is you're innocent until proven guilty.
Mm-hmm.
But that's totally reversed because that means they take it as you guilty until you prove yourself to be innocent
Right.
of stuff. So all these things is harmful. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? 'Cause now you got to sit up there, spend all this money on attorneys and deal with time off and doing this stuff to vindicate yourself,
Right.
whatnot. And I was just thinking all that could be prevented by simple, invest. Like to me, if somebody came up to me and they said that same thing, this dude just tried to rob me, and I saw the dude, first off, the accuser
Mm-hmm.
looking raggedy, whatever. And then this the suspect looking like he got a much more expensive car dressed this way. I would be like, does something look wrong with that?
Right.
Let me pull this one to the side and let me try to get some facts and all this stuff. So yeah, that's why I said like the police to me like and not that I'm trying to for all those people that's in law enforcement, there's some good ones. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's
Yeah.
some ones that wouldn't have worked on that they would have looked at it and be like, hold on, man, like they would have done more work. But for the large part, I'm not a big fan of these constructs, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
they just don't really work. Like this thing with what Trump says sometimes. Like I said, in large part, when you take the whole, I see a lot of problems with Trump.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like little things, that he right on, like fraud, waste, and abuse. The fact that these people don't do their job, that's to me all of that fraud, waste, and abuse is the whole thing. You know
Right.
what I mean? Yeah.
Right.
So he got a point there, but that little valid point gives him license, to do some other things, to basically encroach on other people's liberties and freedoms.
Well, we have a question from
Mhm.
YouTube that asked
Mhm.
in, which I was going to make this comment, which, hi, welcome to the Rose Garden. I
Mhm.
think it's Meg. Meg changed her name.
And
It's
what's her name? What's she put it to?
at VA22192. I don't know who that is.
Big
And
up
then
whoever it is.
yeah, big up. And then I think it's and I think Lavier is in the Rose Garden with us today. So
What's up?
we got a superstar in the Rose Garden today. And I
Yeah.
do believe that your brother-in-law your brother-in-law said he gonna come to the Rose Garden and might have to break the door down if I keep talking about these men's and stuff. And I'm like,
Hey,
hey,
I hear you on that. Hey, going back to wives be obedient to your husbands as if they are the Lord.
so he might have to come in the Rose Garden.
To the young Lord that joined us.
Listen, I'm
Hey.
not in comedic mood today. I don't want to talk about the Lordship. I don't want to talk about the Lordship, but I do want to say that that we have been gotten our loyal followers are here. And it is Meg. Happy birthday, Meg! Are you going to Meg tomorrow's bingo? I hope you go have a good time. So, but the question was, do you think that the same thing would have happened to you if you were not melanated? And I want to, before you answer that, I want to say, I think there's absolutely a distinction between how Black and brown bodies are policed. But I think the bigger issue is the judgment and discernment of police.
I
And
totally agree.
that discerning people
Mhm.
of discerning spirit don't go after those roles for very maybe similar reasons why people who are very empathetic and empathic go into professions like psychology or human resources or social services, because the idea of helping people versus telling people what to do is not, they're not the same. Like I'm not a psychologist because I want to go and boss people around. I want to, make them do what I say. That's not my role. It's not my constitution. I do think people who are attracted to law enforcement and attracted to those roles where people just kind of talk and listen have this, they talk, then you listen, have a personality trait that makes them attracted to it. Like I would never be attracted to law enforcement. It would not be something that I would be attracted to. But I do think absolutely, and I think you would agree. So to answer Lavier's question, would it have changed if it was, if you
No
weren't
question.
melanated?
No question. I mean,
Absolutely.
I think like
Perhaps, let's just say
no
perhaps
question about it.
perhaps it would have changed, but it doesn't mean that it would have changed favorably. Let's just say that, that we can all agree that Black people get policed differently. But if you're not melanated, I think there have been some situations where, like, I'm going to take people that don't understand mental health crises. And there was a young autistic kid, I think this was actually in Virginia, where the parents called the police to help with their son who was, on the spectrum. And again, I use the spectrum, but most people on the spectrum are not dangerous people. Okay, most people are not. But in this situation, there was he was dysregulated, and he had I'm talking about a knife that you cut butter with.
Right.
So I mean, if it jugged you,
Yeah.
you would probably survive that,
Right.
and then not to say anything detrimental about obese people, but this was also an obese, cognitively neuroatypic person with a butter knife that was shot, because that was the judgment, and that was not a brown kid. That was the judgment of the responding officers, thought that was a way to control the situation versus any other tactic. And so what I would argue is that there's a lot of people in these positions that have judgment issues, and
Well, I
that
think that and their judgment issue is centered on the fact of what what appears to be valuable and what appears not to be. Because like right now, if let's just say in that situation, if it was known, like if I
Mm-hmm.
was known to be somebody at that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been treated that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like let's just say if I was President Trump's son,
Right.
and the same exact thing happened, now I don't think they would do me like that, because
Right.
they like, well,
Because
that's
there's a value on that life.
yeah, yeah, but on this other life, that life don't really have that much valuable. So look, I'm tired of playing around. Let's go home,
Right.
talk this through, and get out of here. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't have to worry about the blowback of this. You know what I'm saying? That's
Right.
why, like, a lot of people who, like you say, like they're in impoverished communities, they're victimized, by
Yeah.
people who they live by, and people who are supposed to be protecting them, like law enforcement, because they know they don't have a voice that will actually really be seriously heard. You know,
Right.
yeah. So that's a sad thing. That's why like people gotta be advocating for themselves and stuff like that. That's why, to me, anytime like any injustice happens, it like threatens us all. So I always try to like address it. Anytime
Mm-hmm.
it occurs, but yeah, that definitely would be a different experience. But then these other people who don't come from, our similar backgrounds and walks of lives, they be asking questions like, well, why didn't you call the police?
Right.
And I was like, well, the truth be told, that's a very good question, but the thought of calling the police didn't enter my mind.
Enter my mind. Right.
Yeah.
Well,
But
and I
now
would
I
argue.
will. Now, because
Right. Well,
hey,
and but I would also say that, and Meg has a comment here where she's confirming what we're talking about. Her ex-husband was a ex-trooper,
Mhm,
and the characteristics seem to be uh, emblematic of him. I think,
mhm,
one of the some communities don't see police as protective because they haven't seen models of protection. I think
100%.
the other thing is, even groups that may believe that why don't you just call the police, when they actually interact with police, they're often very disappointed because they don't recognize the role of police. And I think that's not taught, examined very well. I think we pretend that these people have superhuman powers. We
Right,
pretend
right.
their role really is very restrictive. It really is, like, it's not necessarily to they're in
Actually to be the number one witness. I'll just
right,
make notes and stuff, but if somebody is ragdolling you, I'm not necessarily interfering. I'm just going
right. I'm
to
just gonna let them beat you up and then I'm gonna come.
yeah.
Right.
But certain situations like that, like I guess for me, like you said, maybe subconsciously that my relationship or lack of relationship with the police may have been the cause of why I didn't think of it. But also, I was just thinking about the individual, like that. That time was precious for them. You know what I mean? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like if I'm the person like nearest and right there, what am I going to be doing? Like uh, calling the police and driving off,
Waiting.
whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like if I felt like I could help them, I do what I could do to help them. But that put my life at risk, definitely in a very,
Yeah.
very serious risk. And then also, by choosing to help them, I got punished for it.
Right.
Yeah. So that was
That felt
that was
punishing. Yeah.
yeah,
And but I also have to acknowledge your courage, because
mhm,
I want to there's something called the bystander effect in psychology, and many people watch atrocities happen and don't intervene, and they just walk past it. And so there's very few people, I think, now that I know this story, my husband has a, oh my god, he has such a bad habit of intervening in situations, that I sometimes feel like we don't have to be we don't have to be the moral compass, but like
right,
for example, he does little things like he can't stand when people cuss around little kids. I mean, so like, or elderly people. So like if I'm in the store and I'll say, whatever, because I cuss like a professional,
right.
and I'm a professional cusser, everybody.
Yeah.
So, and mostly it's because it makes me feel better, right? And my grandmother was a professional cusser and she raised me. So he'll go, shh, shh. stop cussing so much. And I mean, somebody could be like all the way down. Don't let him see a lady with a walker. He's losing his mind. Oh my God, Serena, you over there?
I mean, that man is polite. He courteous, he's respectful. That's what that shows. No, but I think people got to do better in showing themselves, like respecting each other, right?
Yes, they do.
That's acknowledging that person deserves reverence. You know what I mean?
Because yes, he's very reverent.
Yeah, that they elderly, whatever. We supposed to be treating them more kindly, just like we're supposed to do for children, right? Because I don't necessarily find it wrong that we color up the reality for children, right? Because we want them to have hope and freedom and stuff like that. But I do think at some point, we got to be real, right? And say like, yeah, call these things exactly what they are. And I hate it when like I see it in media and just people in positions of leadership that lack accountability and lack the ability to speak truth. And
right.
Even right now, to me, like I look at Trump and I think honestly he has nothing to lose.
Mm-hmm.
If he plays by the rules, this is his last ability to be the president, right?
Mm-hmm. So at least for right now, because I honestly do not believe that he's trying to ever again have an election.
I totally agree because I see like him renovating the
people's house. Yeah. This should piss everybody off, which is again to your fact. I mean, see, don't get me fired up. I told you I'm very dysregulated this week. People been messing with me all week. And I have not, I usually when people mess with me, there is an end. The situation I'm in now, I haven't gotten justice. And so I feel very amped up internally.
I feel you on that.
I have not felt amped up like this in decades. Like I don't actually, anyway, so because and that's one of the reasons, it's just like compiling, killing people indiscriminately in the ocean. For example, I'm going on a cruise. I actually don't like cruises. I don't like boats. I can't swim. I'm not a fish. I don't understand why people do this, but I'm doing this to celebrate, one of our good friends' wedding. So we're going to be on a cruise in the Atlantic, and I can't swim. I mean, I can swim, but I'm not a fish. So the idea of somebody indiscriminately bombing boats in a sea is terrorizing my mind right now. That
rightfully so, because it could be us. That's the thing that compels you to intervene, right? Because I ain't gonna lie, to me, I think you in any given moment, you're kind of aware of every possibility that could be, right? Mm-hmm. So when I chose to help that girl out, one of the thoughts that was in my mind was like, this ain't your business. Like, that ain't your woman, that ain't your girl, whatever. So this ain't your business. So that did come in my mind. Mm-hmm. But then other thoughts happened in my mind too. Like one of them was like, what if that was like your daughter, or your mother, your sister, or something? Would you want somebody to do? And then the last thing was that the girl was aware of my presence.
Wait a minute. So wait a minute. That's shame. You had some shame?
Well, I guess it is because I felt like, man, I couldn't live with myself.
Because she looked at you.
If I drive off and then I look at and you hear a girl got abducted off this road and she's dead, whatever. I was like, damn. Even if nobody else know, I know. And listen, that's too much.
It's a powerful emotion. But see, that gives me so much hope for you. And see, look, you know what? The group chat is going to be kinder to the bald-headed brother this week because they're seeing your vulnerable side, right? Like that you couldn't let some woman in distress look at you and you turn away, right? Now, it might have been questionable if she didn't know you were there, right? Now,
but I would know though. See, that's the problem because I was thinking too, like I said, like at any given, like you see all these unlimited possibilities, but I was thinking like, damn, like even though she knew I was there, something could have happened to her. Nobody else in the world would have known, but I would know.
You would have known, and you had to do it.
And that right there I would have to live with myself in my own, image of self or whatever. And that's just something I couldn't bear because I
Well,
felt like,
that's
you know,
the beauty of what we're going through now is
mm,
everybody's inactivity. You're all going to have to live with yourselves,
no
and
doubt.
you're all going to have to reckon with the fact and reconcile with the fact that what is happening now was stated out loud before it happened.
Right.
Okay. So
Right.
like I'm not gonna pretend that this is not true, but it was stated out loud before it happened. How it was couched was very similar to how these attacks on in the open sea of random people that we have not verified to be actual drug dealers. It was there are some bad people that we're gonna label bad people, at least at that time it was immigrants who were doing jobs in large parts that all of us needed, like picking our food, like working really, really late hours, doing construction, which we don't have a trained workforce enough to do, where, doing the service jobs that nobody will do. I was watching YouTube, not probably YouTube, and this farmer said, I have recruited people, and it was like in Idaho. So he went down to the town because they raided all of his farms. He went down, he said, I'm doing what the people are telling me to do. Go to the main street, tell people you can work on my farm. I'm also going to provide you food and provide you living quarters. I just need you to come pick. All the young people in town who are unemployed did not show up. One person showed up. So
That's how I
these
felt.
people were not taking advantage of any kind of system. They weren't bringing more criminality into America than America, whose history itself is one built on criminality. They weren't bringing anything more to that. But whoever said, when you guys gave this person permission, that's what you're going to have to reconcile with. And as
Okay.
my brother said, that word that you're dealing with right now is shame. And so, what you're doing to yourself right now is allowing yourself to make excuses for your shame. And that in itself is shameful, because what you should be doing now is being far more accountable than you were when this could happen, because people are hurting. The government is now shut down, and the second longest shutdown in history, and we're poised to be going through to December. And I don't know who the hell in America, because I know all y'all living off of credit. I test half of America all the time. Y'all have fake Bentleys, all this stuff. You don't have money that is that long. Y'all are going to be standing in front of the grocery store, either robbing people or begging people to buy your groceries. And then you're going to be upset when people say, like, not like my brother did in that situation with the poor girl. You're going to have to look those people in the eye and tell them no. And that's what we're doing now. And you have to live with yourself for that. And I'm so frustrated with the inactivity and the lack of courage that we have in this country and as Americans, because this could be totally different if we had more courage, and we don't. But guess what? We're all going to be harmed, and it's going to come down to who's going to have the courage. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of deviance in the world. Y'all ain't cracked open the door to the deviance. But
Yeah.
guess what? When things start to get scarce, scarcity brings on a lot of deviant behaviors. And the good thing about deviance, let me tell you this, is they can live with themselves for their deviancy. So they can wake up. Like, remember, Jeffrey Dahmer was living in the community. People liked him. He was a nice person, and
Yeah.
he was eating people.
And
Okay,
they could rationalize and justify
their
certain
behavior.
evil behavior. Yes, just like we see of these leaders in the world today, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Anytime they pick, it's going back to that question, like, could it be different? Yeah, it'd be different. Like right now, if you seen like what happened with what they call the January 6th insurrection, right?
Mhm.
Where people decided to attack the Capitol, the U.S. Capitol, right? And
Mhm.
all those people got pardoned. Well, a large thousands of them got pardoned by the current president. But I guarantee you, if that was a group of people that looked like me and they knew that they was from our neighborhood or whatever, none of that neighborhood. I don't think my whole lineage would exist any longer.
Mm-mm.
They would be totally justified in dropping the bombs on us and all that because they would say we evil, wicked people. But how
Mhm.
come those people ain't looked at it as the same way when they had intent to do people serious harm? there's people that there's police officers that died that day.
Mm-hmm.
If one police officer died, from a group of black people doing something, their whole community is terrorized.
Right.
They don't just let that kind of thing rise. But I think people know that. Like there's two sets of justice in here, and that's why people, they are able, to operate with relative immunity to do any damn thing they want to do to
Mm-hmm.
people. And they don't like the Jeffrey Epstein situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's funny to me because like they will, that girl that I forget her name, but the one that was working with him,
Giselle.
yeah,
That's
and they have her down at the the club
bad.
Fed, right?
Yeah.
But and in an exclusive way, like prisoners can't be around her and all this stuff. So,
Right.
but then the victims that are speaking out, they have to advocate hard for themselves, and the people who are violators of them victim, like Prince Andrew and the like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they don't view those people as lives being valuable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But they review the I guess you'd say the predators of these victims as their lives being valuable,
Right.
And the only distinguisher of that is the 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 massive wealth, because this person got some sort of wealth and status that means something that's supposed to be dignified or prestigious, but because it's a little girl or a little boy or whatever who don't got nothing, you know what I mean?
You
It's
should
like,
actually value that person more.
yeah,
Well, I'm glad we got to purge, and I'm glad we're on the same page. And one, you keep getting so much favor in the group chat. You're so kind today. Keep it up, brother. You might have some clothes in your closet sooner than you think. People might see you nice. They listen. You ebb and flow in the group chat. So sometimes they cussing the bald headed brother out, and then today, you got a lot of cussing last week about the lordship. You
ah,
know.
yeah, because I know women have a very difficult relationship with obedience.
Oh my.
Even my own mother was trying to holler in on that. You know what I mean? But I think if you examine that, I got some validity in that.
I would say because I'm going to take it to the broader community. I think humans have a problem with obedience and accountability, which is probably more at the core of what you try to say. Now, I'm a good brother translator so that they don't come burn your house down, because I got some gals over there that's bigger than you, and I don't want you to have to put yourself in. And I know how you feeling on elbows to see what size they are. Okay. So, they're not going to just retch around in your door. You're going to say, let me hold your hand for a second and let me see what you're working with in the forearms before I invite you across this
Yeah,
table.
that's 100% right. There's some pre-qualifiers for
There are
sure.
some pre-qualifiers. So I know that everybody's going to get to you. But I'm also very much, I love my brother. So I be saying, listen, he don't deserve to get the bat put to him. He needs to understand your perspective. And I do think there will be a person that's going to humble you. I really do. But how about this? We only have a few more minutes. I think we need to switch some gears to a more light subject. And even though I had this a terrible, terrible week, and I'm appreciative of your reflections about people and humanity, because I was feeling very similar. And what I want to just like my one point I want to leave before we go to the topic is we are a part of a human race. That
Mhm.
race needs each other, and our own existence depends on how we are acting collectively. So we can continue in this vein if we want to. And some will survive, some will not. But the ones that do survive are the ones that, in my opinion, that understand the beauty of our interexistence. It's not our separate existence. And I think we are too evolved as a species at this point to really believe in this only one kind presentation. Like, I'm not a plumber, so I'm going to need a plumber to fix my pipes, right? So if we I can't, I might can even read a manual, but I might not be able to do it as good as a trained plumber. that's what our society is like. We all play our roles. We all have our parts. And so if we continue down this line of like, oh, we don't need each other and only this kind of people and only that kind of people, we're going to lose the benefit of our humanity. And guess what? We all lose. We all lose. No, there's no winners. There's no winners. And so that's that's kind of my gift. And I'm going to tell you, like, the strong do survive. And one thing about melanated people is we are not recessive.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so remind yourself of that when you are looking at what this means in your you might lose me, you might lose my brother, but you're not going to lose what we represent and what we stand for. And so that's important. So I was thinking liars are liars, right? And there's this game called Two Truths and a Lie. And I'm going to train people on today on how to tell if someone is lying. So these are real gifts. I guess we shouldn't really give this away, but this is actually a safety training that I attended. And in the safety training, they described how you can pick up on somebody who's telling a lie in any interaction. So, brother, I want you to give me two truths and a lie. No. I'm sorry. Yeah, two truths and a lie. That's what it's called. Yeah.
Two truths and one lie. So three. You want me to tell you three facts, right?
Yeah. Go. Yep. But I got it. Go ahead. And then I'm gonna guess which one's the lie, and then I'll tell you why.
I have 5 children.
Okay, I have 5 children.
I got 4 wives. Hold on. Let me start all over again.
No, let's go with that. We'll do that. I got 5 children. I have, but that's okay. Go ahead.
I have 4 wives. And damn.
You're gonna have to give me more.
Let me start all over again.
Yeah. Listen, Sensei, I know you know how to do this.
Let me start again. Let me start again. Let me see. I was raised by Grandma Rose.
Okay.
I was raised by Grandma Rose. I grew up with 2 sisters, and I got 5 kids.
Okay. You actually aren't doing it in the same way that I wanted you to do it, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. So this is for people who, so there's some social cues that you do when you're telling lies, usually. So there's tells, like people either look away or they do like a clearing of the throat, or they're doing it. And it's because, again, psychologically, we have to make room for the lie. Okay. The other thing is you usually use more details when it's a lie. And the reason for that is because you're trying to make yourself more believable. So if you look at your responses, I was raised by Grandma Rose. 1, we know that because we're in the Grows Riding with you. I grew up with 2 sisters. I've got 5 kids. Now, if you hadn't said 2 sisters, the sentence I got 5 kids would have had, I have got 5 kids would have had the most words. And so that's the more details that you can pay attention to. Now, you are not like somebody who's like a trained liar or a person who's interviewing. So right. In interviews, we typically are interviewing and telling people to tell us parts of stories so that we can understand your facts. When people start adding details, like, and it was, a Tuesday, when it's, they don't remember it or whatever, you start like, well, how did you know it was a Tuesday? This was, our brains normally don't work that much. So if you're around someone who's telling you stories and they're adding all of these details, I would be concerned. The other thing is people who are oversharers. Now, there are probably people who are oversharers and outliers. Like, I work with a lot of kids on the spectrum. They are oversharing. Okay.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I'm like, some people, Because you know how I could tell when somebody's lying. First of all, I think like we all got like like this intuition and sense, because like we all kind of know the truth, even when the truth is not doesn't have to be spoken. But when the truth is spoken, like there's some sort of like reconciliation that happens where you don't even have to speak on it no more. Like
Right.
it's all like everything is all together, and all the pieces fit. Like the whole pieces of the puzzle all fit together.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
everything makes sense. When it's a lie, like it's a lot of things that you have questions.
Yeah.
When somebody has told you a lie, it's a lot of emptiness. Like what? Like you said, when was that? Tuesday. How you do that on Tuesday when you got
He
like
was here. Right. Right.
so you always kind of like know from these things, and like
Yeah.
you said, people do give you like tells, like all the stuff that you said that was brilliant.
And it's also training people to pay attention when people talk. So what's happening now, I think, is we live in a world where we're already like disconnected. I can tell you by like hanging out with my adult children, they
Yeah.
never break up with their cell phones. Like honestly, we almost get in fights about like, can y'all just put the phones away? When we're like spending family time, we were watching a game on the couch and they're like flipping through they watching the game, but they're like flipping on their phone and stuff. It's very distracting to me. So I think the newer generation, they're learning to split attention. But what I'm telling you is, unless something remarkable happens with our brains, which recognize that your brain is being very influenced when you are always being stimulated like you are on a cell phone.
Mhm.
There is so much research out there that says how negative the stimulation and just like the light combination and the word combination and so much is happening in your brain that you just do not, it's impossible to be attending to your environment in the way that you need to. And what that does is that shuts down your emotional response, which, like it or not, like you made a great point, your emotional response is the most adaptive part of your human nature. So there are things, like you said, you can always tell when something doesn't feel right. There's a book called The Gift of Fear. It's one of like, it's an easy read. Again, I got it from this training and I didn't necessarily sit down and read it. I'm an audible reader. I ain't got time to be sitting down. But it is so spot on. Like, and there's another book that I did actually sit down and read called Blink that shares the same information in a different way. So we do have, like, the brain does have the ability to catch on to things that are not helpful to us. The problem is we are socialized to ignore it. And so these books train you not to ignore it, to train you to be more present. So I'm giving you these gifts now because we're in a situation where we are being lied to every single day. And even if they're lies by omission or lies by extra characteristics or saying somebody is bad when we don't indeed know that they're bad. And again, we have laws in place for bad people. So I don't know that we need to be assassinating everything that's bad. Our homicidal spirits should be a little bit more tame than that. Then we get to all like, just because you're bad, you get killed. Or one person gets to, like, that's just not how our society is set up. So those books are exceptional tools if you really want to learn how to master these abilities in yourself. And it's constantly this discussion now, I think, about like what is safe and what's not safe, and being able to discern that is going to be adaptive in an environment where we can't trust things. And we don't have a lot of control, and the systems that we had thought were in place for us before are no longer in place. So I give those gifts to you, brother. You keep showing me you got such good qualities. I think that group chat's going to be kind to you today. Is there anything else you want to say before we shut down?
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that happy birthday shout out to all those I guess they Scorpios,
Are they
Meg.
Scorpios?
Yeah, I think they Scorpios. Some Megs, I think it's our daughter Alexi, Caroline,
Quietly.
Quali, Quali Abel, you know what I mean? Shout out to his mom and all that too. I don't know nobody else off the top of my head right now. But
not that's October birthdays that I can think of, but hey, we were blessed by a superstar today. Oh my goodness, Lavier was on live, and let's give her little senior citizen fingers credit for being in it live and chatting. So she gets a little.
That technology today, huh?
She got that technology to work now. You don't need a tutorial today. She over there showing off, you know. So we were blessed to have her in the Rose Garden, and I'm always blessed to have you be my reflection for things like like I had an angry spirit entering into the Rose Garden over the things that were happening, not just to the world, but to me personally. And when I leave the Rose Garden, I feel so much better. So I'm so appreciative of the time hanging out with you. And I hope others feel really good too. We'll be here same time, same place, same bat channel next week.
All right.
All right.